I continue to believe that one of the greatest threats our country faces is the accumulation of debt. We borrow about $1 million a minute. We've given away over $300 billion in foreign aid over the last 10 years. During those 10 years, we've accumulated over $10 trillion in debt. Now, some would say, well, it's only 1% of the budget, it's not a big deal. Actually, if you cut 1% of the budget each year over about a 5-year period, you actually balance your budget within 5 years. So the savings does add up. The other thing I think in thinking about this is that most of us give privately to charities or to our church, and most of us would think it would be absurd to borrow money, go to the bank, borrow money to give to your church. You give out of your surplus or out of your earnings, but you don't give out of borrowed money. And I think it's equally absurd for a country to borrow money from China to send to Pakistan. It sort of defies any common sense. The other argument, though, is whether or not it actually works, whether the money, if you say, well, gosh, it's so valuable and we borrowed this money and we're going further into debt, but it works. But there's quite a bit of evidence that maybe it doesn't work. You know, we've plowed $1 trillion into Iraq, and Iraq has treated their liberation that we granted them with falling into the arms of Iran. You know, you could make the argument they're closer allies with Iran than they are with us. They don't seem to do what we asked them to do with regard to making their army more national and less sectarian. They brought some of the Sunni uprising upon themselves against our wishes. In Egypt, over the last 10 years, we've given them $60 billion. Some estimate as much as half of that was stolen by the Mubarak family. Even liberal institutions such as the New York Times has reported as much as 50 to 70% of foreign aid is stolen. Chairman Corker has mentioned the duplicitous nature of Pakistan, who I think at best can be described as a frenemy, sometimes friend, sometimes enemy, but really duplicitous is probably the best way to put it. We've given them $15 billion over the last 10 years. I think the American people are convinced that we don't have the money to be sending money all around the world when our infrastructure here is falling down, our country is struggling. We just simply don't have the money, and it makes no sense to borrow it.